Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Jaden Carter Show. I wanted to do a video on the Mandela effect. Everybody knows Nelson Mandela, and this thing is named after Nelson Mandela because apparently some people from back in the day, like in the 70s or 80s, believe that he died back in the 70s or 80s in a South African jail. But then we're in a reality now, in an alternate reality where Nelson Mandela just died in 2013. Now, I don't remember Nelson Mandela dying in the 70s or 80s. I wasn't even born yet, so I don't even know that history. But some of the things that did affect me with this Mandela effect thing is the Berenstain Bears, and I call it the Berenstain Bears, and I'm still gonna call it that because I grew up on that. I used to have the books when I was little. I used to read them. I used to be really, fascinated and obsessed with the Berenstain Bears. I had all the books. I had the little toys, everything. And I clearly remember I used to be kind of like not autistic or nothing like that, but I used to get fixated on things and daze off and daydream when I was little. I had a really vivid imagination, but not to say that I'm wrong in this, because I remember clearly staring at the books forever. I used to look at the pictures, I used to look at the letters and the drawings and the colors and everything. I used to be fascinated with things like that as a little kid. You get fascinated with colors and things like that. And I remember I used to stare at the name for a long time because I used to be like, oh, it reminds me of Frankenstein. It reminds me of the famous guy too, Albert Einstein. I didn't know who Albert Einstein was at that time. I just knew it was the guy with the crazy hair because I was little, but I knew it reminded me of him because we used to have a poster of him, of Albert Einstein too, in the classroom. And so I was kind of familiar with the name Einstein, so I was like, oh, it's like the same name. And I remember looking at the name and saying, oh, it's like Frankenstein, Albert Einstein, and I clearly had that memory in my head. And now that this Nelson Mandela thing comes out, some people think that it has to do with Cern opening gates and running all those machines that they're running, which is, true. I kind of believe it is. And that, they're opening portals to other universes, which I believe in all that stuff. And so I go look it up, and I type in Berenstain, and sure enough, everything related to this cartoon, to these characters, is now Berenstain Bears. And it was even featured on The Simpsons, and that's why I'm including this picture of the Berenstain Bears, because this is it's a picture from The Simpsons. I don't know what episode it is, but they were on there and it said Berenstain Bears. And now if you go back, it says Berenstain Bears, and some people have screen captured the actual when it said Berenstain Bears. So sure enough, it changed. You can't find anything anywhere, try as you might. You can't find anything anywhere that says Berenstain Bears, except for this picture that I have right here of a stack of books, of Berenstain books, and one of them does say Berenstain on it. And from what my understanding after doing the research of this is that apparently a couple of those books had a misspelling, and it was an error, a publishing error, and they quickly recalled those books back in the day, and they're no longer in circulation. But still, that doesn't count for the fact that because they could have came out and said this a long time ago. They could have been like, yeah, there was a publishing error, there were a few books that were published like this. But I remember all of them being like that. I mean, because the Berenstain Bears have multiple books. They go on different adventures. They have they have a whole volume of books. And I remember having a lot of them, and all of them said Berenstain Bears. So it couldn't have been a publishing error or nothing like that. But even the person's name, the author of the book, you gotta excuse my my accent. I talk a little heavy, I know, but the author of the book, that's their name. It's like that's her last name or his last name, I think it is, and even their name changed. So it's like that doesn't account for, you know, if they you know, mispublished a couple of books with errors and everything. I clearly remember this person's name being Berenstein. No one is named Berenstain. Like, where in the hell does that happen? You know, that name doesn't exist anywhere. Everyone knows that Berenstein, anything Stein, whatever you want to call it, is a Jewish name. Anyways, the other thing that I want to talk about that sticks out to me, there's many of these things going around, you know, logo changes, everything, but I'm only going to cover the ones that, you know, I remember, because I was watching some of the other, you know, Mandela effect videos, and there's a lot of videos going around where it's like, okay, dude, now you're reaching, you're doing too much, that's not right. Some people are doing videos and grabbing things from left and right and just switching things around and doing it, and I'm like, okay, no, you're wrong, dude. You know what I'm saying? So I don't even want to give examples of those, but I'm only going to cover the ones, you know, that I know for sure were changed. Like Fruit Loops, I remember it clearly. You know, like I said before, growing up, I always was fascinated with colors and things like that. And, you know, we were kind of poor growing up, so we couldn't afford the brand name cereals. We would always get the, you know, cereals at the bottom of the shelves, you know, that just come in plastic bags. So it was like very rare that, you know, my mom would, like, you know, buy me the actual brand cereal. So when she did, I would actually collect the boxes once they were empty. I used to collect the Rice Krispies, the Trix, the Fruit Loops, all of those. Fruity Pebbles, that's my favorite, by the way, you guys. Fruity Pebbles, can't go wrong with that. I still eat that to this day. I go to Safeway and I go to, like, you know, the grocery stores, and I'm in line, you know, grown ass man and shit, I'm in line, and I go to purchase my, you know, Fruity Pebbles, and I sure do. I do it with a straight face and everything. I'm like, I'm hella grown, getting my, you know, Fruity Pebbles, but I don't care. And so I remember that changing. So that's kind of, you know, crazy that, you know, it went from being spelled fruit, F-R-U-I-T, to now just fruit, like foot, but with an R, fruit. Like it sounds Canadian almost, you know, Fruit Loops. Like it doesn't even sound right. You can't even pronounce it. Even with my accent, it sounds, you know, horrible. And the other one is Interview with a Vampire. That was my favorite movie. And I clearly remember an interview with a vampire. I mean, I clearly remember the A used to be highlighted in red in some posters and everything. So it used to be, you know, Interview with a Vampire. And in all the audios that you find of Anne Rice and, you know, some of the actors, and, you know, some of the nominations at movie awards, they all say Interview with a Vampire, nominated for, you know, an Oscar or whatnot. And when they interview Anne Rice, it always says, you know, Interview with a fucking Vampire. And the other one is Johnny Quest. I never really used to like Johnny Quest a lot, but I remember watching it a few times as a filler show, you know, when I was bored and I was like, shit, there's nothing else on. So, but I remember it being Johnny Quest, because if you look at the new spelling now, it's not even Johnny, that's like Joni Quest. Who the hell? Last but not, well, no, not last yet. So the next one that I want to talk about is Looney Tunes. I grew up on Looney Tunes. You know what I mean? I always remember it being T-O-O-N, because it was, you know, short for cartoon, Looney Tunes. It was never tunes. I remember, back in the day when the Looney Tunes first came out, the old versions from like the 20s or the 30s, like damn near before silent films and shit, it used to be tunes, T-U-N-E-S. Like if you look it up and you go back to the old cartoons, like damn near black and white, you know, versions of these cartoons before they really blew up when they were picked up by what was it, Mary Medleys or something like that. They changed it to tunes, T-O-O-N-S. So, and it always used to be tunes. And Now they're trying to say, no, it never was Tunes. It was always Tunes. And I'm like, okay, no, I clearly remember it being Tunes. And one of the ways that I know something is wrong here, because there was a spin-off show to Looney Tunes, and it was called Tiny Toons, and I'm including the picture right here. You can see, and Tiny Toons is still Toon, the Tiny Toon Adventures. For somehow the Mandela effect forgot about that, or they didn't change it. Whatever conspiracy people are doing this. The Nelson guy at the Cern, maybe he forgot to change. Maybe he forgot about the spin-off Tiny Toon Adventures, but there's still Tiny Toon Adventures, so you can clearly see Tiny Toons, Looney Tunes. And last but no, oh my god, I keep saying last. So another thing I wanted to do is the world map. Regarding, there's a couple of changes on the map, but I only want to poke at Australia. I remember, I used to look at the globe when I was little in the classroom, and in the globe, in whatever map you looked at back in the day, Australia was always far away and separated from everything. It used to be like smack in the South Pacific Ocean damn near, like it was all by itself. Now I'm using this map to relate to it, to how far away and how close now it is. But for some reason in this map, New Zealand is on the left side when we all know it's on the right. So I don't know what's going on with that, but I just wanted to use it as an example of how far away Australia used to be, and now it's like damn near all up on the Philippines ass. So, and another thing that I wanted to talk about is the Star Wars, how they used to say, Luke, I am your father, and now it says, no, I am your father. It just sounds incredibly stupid.
When I first saw the dialogue that said, Luke, I am your father, Luke, I am your father, Luke, I am your father, I said to myself, he's lying. I wonder how they're gonna play that liar.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No. I am your father.
But all of these changes are like to corrupt the language and to make us, but they're all stupid changes. Like, who does that? What big names and companies, change it to these ridiculous names? Like, no, it don't even make sense. But also the actor, James Earl, whatever his name is, I think he passed away now. I'm not sure. I don't want to start no rumors. But every time you seen him on interviews, he would always say, Luke, I am your father. The script, that's how it was written. And I mean, actors don't forget. This is what they do for a living. So if it said, no, I am your father, I'm sure that's what would have been blown up. So it's kind of like, how did the, actor even say, Luke, I am your father? Like, was he, was he crazy too? And last but not least, everybody remembers it used to say, life is like a box of chocolates in Forrest Gump, and now it says, life was like a box of chocolates. He sounds, really stupid and retarded. All of these changes are kind of like blasphemous. It's kind of like to dumb down the language and people's minds, because if you even pay attention to the way, he says life is like a box of chocolate, and then when he says it in the new version, he says it like even more slower and stupid. He's like, life was like a box of chocolate, and that's kind of a hint, like a scary hint, where he's like, life was. It's like, not life is. What are you, dead or something? Life is. It's not life was. Who would talk like that,
My mom always said that life is like a box of chocolates. My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
And so last but not least, now we're really on to the last. I want to talk about this thing has nothing to do, well, it has a little something to do with CERN, about the quantum leap computer that was built. It also opens up portals and dimensions. It's so funny, when I saw the first quantum leap, quantum computer built, how eerily it reminded me of that stone in the Middle East that all the Muslims go to once a year, and they do circles around that stone. Is this some kind of like ancient technology that we're looking here? Because that thing looks very eerily like the new quantum computers that are being put out there now, that open up gates and portals to other universes. And so there's a ring of truth to all of this. So are we going down that path? Are we rediscovering some type of ancient technology? You be the judge. Let me know below.